Hi friends, my name is Abhishek Roshan and I am an instructor and a corporate trainer. I am an IT professional as well, so whatever I am going to present in front of you as per my real-time experience. Apart from this, if I'll talk more about me, then I am a RHCSA and RHCE certified. So I know the value of time. So without wasting the time, let's directly jump into the topic. So the first topic which we are going to discuss here is about your introduction to Linux. So before going to understand Linux, the question should come in your mind is that why would you need to learn Linux? So there are two strong reasons behind that one. One is your logical reason, other one is your technical reason. So let's discuss about the left side image, that is your logical reason. So you know, if you want to build a building, you need to you need to dig down, or you need to build the foundation first. So Linux is nothing but it's your foundation. So all other technologies, or you can say all other technologies, like it could be your Devops, it could be your Java, it could be your .NET, or it could be your AWS or cloud or anything. All other technologies are revolving around your Linux operating system only. So whatever tools or application you are going to install on top of your Linux operating system. So this is why I'm telling it's very much important that your foundation should be strong. Means Linux is nothing but it's your foundation. Means your Linux should be strong. Then only you are able to build, or then you are able to jump into some other technologies like a building. So once your foundation will be strong, so you can build a building of 1,000 feet also, like Burj Khalifa or whatever it is. So that doesn't matter, but your foundation should be strong. Now let's talk about the technical reason. So you know what do you mean by an operating system. So an operating system is nothing but it's an interface between the user and the computer hardware. So the hardware of the computer cannot understand the human readable language. So as it works on binary, so we can say this hardware understand only binary language, that is 0 or 1. So this 0 and 1 can be only understand by this operating system. So this user will only understand the human readable format. So there should be someone who can interpret the binary language into human readable language. That is called your operating system. This is why I am telling, before jumping into any other technology, you need to learn first Linux or any other operating system, whether it's a Windows, whether it's a Mac, Android. But in current trend, as per my experience, what I'm telling is 95% of the server is running on Linux operating system. So it's very much important that you should learn Linux, then jump into any other technology. Then it will be easy for you. Now let's discuss about what all types of operating system we have available. So you know there is something called single user multitasking. Single user multitasking is nothing but in this kind of operating system, it only supports only one user to log into the system, but a user can perform multiple tasks at the time. Like if you are opening a VLC media player at the same time, if you are browsing the internet at the same time, if you are playing a song, but the user is only one user. Suppose Abhishek is the one user. He is able to log into one system, but he is able to do multiple tasks. Means he is able to browsing, he is able to play a song, and he is able to open a VLC media player as well. What does it mean? Like your Windows operating system. And if you talk about like multi-user multitasking, means multi-user and multitasking is nothing but in this kind of operating system, multiple users to log into the system, and also each user can perform various tasks at a time. In a broader term, multiple user can log into the system and share the resources of the system at the same times, like Unix and Linux. Let me show you one example so it will be more clear for you what do you mean by multi-user and multitasking, like your Unix and Linux operating system. So here you can clearly see this is a VMware workstation, and in this VMware workstation I have created a user that is your root user. This is the supermost user, or you can say super user. So later on in upcoming topics I'll be explaining more in detail of this super user. Okay, but as of now just understand, if I do ifconfig is nothing but it will tell you the IP of this server. So in this instance, I have installed CentOS. If I do cat/etc/red hat release. Okay, so you can clearly see there is a Red Hat 6.7 is installed on top of this instance. Now, forgot about everything. So what you need to know as of now, just take this particular IP. What is that IP? 192.168 and 138. I am going to copy this IP and I am going to open this MOBA extern. MOBA extern is nothing but this is a remote login client application. If you want to download this MOBA extern, just go to Google. Here, you just need to type MOBA extern. Instead of putty, you can use MOBA extend. That doesn't matter because you can open multiple sessions at a time. So you can see there is a home edition and there is a professional edition. Just click on download now and you'll be redirecting to which, the latest version. But I would suggest just go with the previous version. Just click on here. So you'll be downloading version 12.4. Okay. So this is what you need to do. That's it. From this particular site, you can download the MOBA extend directly. So coming back to the point here, so what you need to do is I need to open a session. Okay, this is a SSH. Okay, I'm just doing a SSH from my system to this particular server which is installed on top of your virtual machine. That is your VMware. So that is also I'll be explaining later on what do you mean by virtual machine, how we can create a virtual machine, how to install a virtual machine, and how to create an instance or how to create a and how to install a you can say Red Hat on top of your virtual machine. So let's go to this particular, just do a click SSH, okay, put your IP, and I am going to log in as a root user as of now because root is the super user, correct? Just okay. So you can see clearly I have logged in as a root user, right? So this is the root user. Now the next IP, if I do ifconfig, so IP is the same only. That is 192.168.222.138, right guys? Understanding my point? Okay, moving to the next session. Again, I am opening a session with the same IP, but this time I am changing the user. The user is Pankaj. Login. So you can see I logged in with Pankaj as well. At the same time, I'm taking the same IP, putting there and giving Ankur. So I logged in as a Ankur. So here I'm just renaming this tab. Don't get confused. Pankaj. Okay. This user is Pankaj. This user is Ankur. Okay. So I'm just increasing the font size. This will help you out. Just try to understand the concept. Somehow Ankur is not able to log in. Okay, we'll try to log in with some other user. Okay, log in with Abhishek, or we'll create some user over here, or you can say like user add Max. Okay, so instead of, yeah, you can see Pankaj is already logged in. Ankur is having some password issue that we'll see later on. Okay, so I'm going to log in with Max now. Correct? So what I try to say here, or what I want to make you understand, just forgot about the root user. What does it mean? Multi-user and multitasking operating system means for a single system, for a single server, that is the IP of this server is 192.168.222.138. So at the same time, if I do a clear, if I do a IP config, okay, you can see the IP very clear, right? This is the IP 192.168.222.138. And if I do a command called who am I, so you can see who am I? I am a root user here for the same server, And for the same server, Pankaj is also logged in. And if he will do also who am I, so he is also able to see Pankaj is logged in, right? And if he do ifconfig, so he will be in the same server, right? It is same 192.168.222.138. If you want to see again, Max is logged in. Who am I? Okay, so you can see Max is logged in. Okay, and if I do ifconfig, then you can see it's same IP. It means that for the same system or for the same server, multiple user can log login. Okay, so this is what called multi-user multitasking. But multitasking doesn't mean this one. Multitasking means multiple user can log into the same server, and multitasking means all users can be able to open multiple software at a time, like VLC media player or any other software. They should be able to, some multiple processes should be running. Okay, but multitasking or multi-user, it's very clear to you guys. Now let me show you one more thing over here. So if I do user, okay, so you can see which all users have been logged in for the same server from a root user. Okay, so for the same server, Pankaj and root is and Max is logged in. Means two user is logged in at a time. So you can understand, guys. It's very clear what do you mean by multi-user and multitasking. So guys, now let's discuss about more into, you can say, we have already gone through your introduction to Linux and types of operating system. Now discuss about the history of Linux. That is also very much important, because you should know how this particular Linux it came into existence, and who are the inventors, who are the father of this particular Linux operating system. Initially, father of Linux is someone else, but how it came into the picture Linux, that you need to understand somewhat, or somewhere like history of Linux. That is very much important. So in the left side, it's very clear. You can see it's a Ken Thompson. Okay, and in the right side, Dennis Ritchie, who is the inventor of C, and these two were working in the Bell Labs. So let me tell you something. In the beginning, there was AT&T. Okay, so in Bell Labs, Ken Thompson developed a Unix in 1969. So he could play games. So with the help of Dennis Ritchie, the inventor of C programming, in the right side you can see programming language, Ken rewrote Unix entirely in C so that he could be used on a different computer. Okay, so early in 1974, the operating system was licensed to the universities for the educational purpose. So over the years, hundred of people added and improved upon the system, and it spreads into the commercial world. So dozens of different Unix flavored appeared, each with Unix qualities. So yet still having enough similarities to the original AT&T version. So all of the flavors were based on either AT&T system, V, or Berkeley system distribution, that is BSD Unix, or you can say hybrid both. So there is something called Unix. So Unix is nothing but it's the same Linux like operating system, but Linux is a open source, but Unix is a absolutely it's not a open source. It's dependent upon platform, and Linux is a completely independent of the platform. So whatever now we are going to discuss, it's more about Unix, and then later on the evolvement of Linux will come into the picture, guys. So during the late 1980s, there were several of commercial implementation of Unix was happened, like Apple Computer, AUX, AT&T System V Release 3, Digital Equipment Corporation, Ultrix and OSF like renamed to December Unix, Hewlett Packard, HP UX, IBM AIX. Okay, so it's Sun Microsystem, now it's become Oracle. Okay, Sun OS, Solaris, and dozens of more Unix like operating systems. So the Open Standard Foundation is a Unix industry organization designed to keep the various Unix flavor working together. Then later on, guys, like it's Linus Torvald had a dream. He wanted to create the coolest operating system in the world that was free for anyone to use and modify based on an obscure Unix flavor called Minix. Linus the source code and created his own flavor called Linux. Using the power of internet, he distributed copies of his own operating system all over the world, and fellow programmers improved upon his work in 1999 with a dozens version of operating system and many GUI to choose from. Linux causing a Unix revival, knowing that people are used to Windows tool. Linux developer are making applications that combine the best of Windows with the best of Unix operating system, guys. So this is all about the history of Linux. So now guys we'll be discussing more about the Unix principle, because this is very much important that you should understand what all Unix principles are there, or you can say Linux principles are there. So in Linux, everything is a file. Why? Because in Linux system have many powerful utilities designed to create and manipulate files. The Unix security model is based around the security of file. By treating everything as a file, you can secure the access to hardware in the same way as you secure the access to a document. Why I am telling this one? Because in Linux operating system, you doesn't have to install antivirus. There is, because in Linux everything will be file, and each file will be spreaded across multiple directories. So if you can see here, I can show you. If I do cd slash and if I do ll, later on I'll be explaining each and every command, don't worry about that. So you can see there are multiple directories over here. If I do ls also, you can see multiple directories over here. So there is something called home directory, there is something called etc directory, there is something called bin directory. What does it mean? So these directories are responsible for different files will be there. So like bin directory will keep all binary executable file, and slash home will keeping all home users should be there, the home directory for a normal user. Slash etc will be keeping all configuration files. So this is why in Linux everything is a file. If you go inside slash etc also, if I do ls also, you will be able to see multiple files and directories only. So this is why I am telling Linux, in Linux everything is a file. And the second thing which is very much important, you can talk about like configuration data is stored in a text. So in Linux everything should be storing, or configuration in a text allows an administrator to move a configuration from one machine to another machine easily, provide the ability to roll back a system configuration to a particular date and time. What does it mean? It means very clear. If you are here, okay, if you are here, if you go to slash etc, this is also a directory, just do sh, and or you can do ll also. So you will be able to see multiple files will be there. Suppose this file will be there, or you take any file slash etc if config, shadow file will be there. This is our sudoers file will be there. Okay, so if I do ll and if I do sudoers, okay, so this is also one file will be there. So clearly, if I want to move this particular file from one server to another server, because this is the same session, or if I can talk here, you can see I can go to this VMware. So there is one server, this one, and if I can open this server also, okay, so I can transfer those files from Linux terminal 1 to Linux terminal 2 very easily. This is what it is called configuration data is stored in text. It is easy to roll back also. Something happened to this particular server, so you can move to the same file to the other server. Coming back to the third point, that is very much important, that is ability to chain program together to perform complex tasks. What does it mean? A core design feature of Unix that output of one program can be input for another. So this gives the user the flexibility to combine many small programs together to perform a larger task. Means in Linux, in the upcoming session, don't worry about that one, I'll be showing how we can take an input from one file and we can take the input as an output to another file. Like how? Just showing with the command. Suppose we are doing cat slash etc pass wd, it's just a file. Okay, so there are multiple users over here, so I am just pipe this particular output, and I am greping what I am greping from this file output to a input of this particular user, like samba. If I do samba, so if I am greping this one, so you will be able to see only samba user, means the output of this result I am giving as an input for this one. So then only I'll be able to see. And if you want to filter more into this one, then you can filter more into this one. So this is what called ability to chain program together. And if all this program you can put it in a single file. So if you put it in a single file, you can create a shell script also. So this is what the beauty of Linux, you can say. Now let's discuss more about the Linux origin. Who is the father, or you can say Linux, who created Linux and all. Linux origin, you can say Linus Torvald is the father of your Linux. But you know it's coming from Unix, because Linux and Unix are almost same operating system. So you no need to get confused. So from where it's coming, so I have shown you already previously, like the history from where these two guys have combined together. They created a Unix operating system. But this guy, what his Linus Torvald done, it's very clear that he finishes his college. He was a student in 1991, and he created a kernel. When this kernel combined with GNU application, it completes a free Unix-like operating system, and he developed a Linux operating system. So it was Linus Torvalds' dream that he wanted to create the coolest operating system in the world that was a free for everyone. This is why Linux is a open source operating system. You'll be getting many distributions of Linux operating systems are available in the market, like you are hearing about Red Hat, Fedora, CentOS, Kali Linux, because these are what? So these are like, everybody has taken the kernel. So kernel is easily available in the market. Anyone can get that kernel, add their own feature, and even you can also create your own operating system, Abhishek Linux, or you can say Max Linux. So it's all about how you're taking the things. Okay, so what this Linus Torvald done is based on an obscure Unix flavor called Minimix. Linus took the source code and he created his own flavor called Linux. That's what. So he created his own kernel. Guys, till now we have discussed about, you can say, introduction to Linux operating system, what do you mean by operating system, and then we have moved to the history of Linux. Then we have discussed about the Unix principle, and from who is the creator of Linux and how it came. Now we will discuss more about into why Linux. Okay, so why Linux? The answer will be very simple and easy, no need to get confused. Linux is same Unix-like operating system. As I said, means Linux has similar to Unix, as the various Unix versions are to each other. Means there are multiple Linux versions are available in the market, and even for the Unix, but Unix has a limited versions are available in the market, you can say. Now the second thing is, which is very much important, that is multi-user and multitasking. I have already shown you previously what does it mean by multi-user multitasking. So in Linux, multi-user and multitasking operating system, that means that more than one person can log in onto the same Linux computer at the same time, and the same user could even be logged into their account from two or more terminals at the same time. Now, wide hardware support, what does it mean? So Linux support a wide variety of hardware. It is not dependent upon hardware like HP UX, IBM AIX. So what all these servers are there? So these are totally dependent upon, suppose HP, if you want to install, so you can install only on HP hardware. If you want to install IBM AIX, then you need to install only on IBM hardware. So these are platform dependent. But apart from this, Linux is absolutely platform independent. You can install in any hardware. It is going to support wide variety of hardware. Okay, and apart from this, fully supported. So Red Hat, like Red Hat is a fully supported distribution. Red Hat Inc. provides many support programs for the smallest to the largest companies. So guys, this is all about our introduction to Linux. Thank you for watching this video.